All right. We are recording. If you don't wish to be recorded, you can remain silent, hang up, whatever you choose to do. But you are on MS Office Hours, and today it is August 29th, 2019. And today we have with us Dr. Susan Eliason. Am I saying that right?
Eliason.
Eliason. See, that's why I had to ask. Thank you.
Yep.
And you're with Bridgewater State University, right?
Correct.
Awesome. Well, do you mind maybe introducing yourself? Tell us a little bit about what it is you do for a living, and then the floor is yours to show us what you like.
Sure. I'm an associate professor at Bridgewater State University in Massachusetts. I teach early childhood education and childhood studies courses. The courses are offered either blended or fully online. And I also participate in doing faculty development as well. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Fantastic. So part of what I really love about you coming on and talking to us is you have applicability to those of us who work in K-12 as well as higher ed, given your particular role. So I'm really excited to find out a little bit about what you're doing, in large part because you're utilizing a tool called Flipgrid, which is in the Microsoft tool belt, but isn't one that a lot of us IT pros and things have necessarily seen before. So what is it that you're doing now that kind of makes that so unique?
I guess I use it to really increase the active learning in my courses and to really make learning visible. I also use it to build community. And I have a little presentation to show. I could show you some of the student comments because, I mean, in the end, it really, what they think matters most. And hopefully they're learning the content, but also had an experience that was pleasant.
Well, fantastic. You're welcome to share your screen, Susan. I don't know if you're familiar with Teams or not, but there should be a share button down there in the menu bar. Kind of looks like a square with an up arrow. And from there, you can select your screen.
All righty. So, all right. Well, we've already said this. So, when I was thinking about today,
I don't think we're seeing your screen just yet.
Not okay.
Right. So you should see the little three dots menu where it says more actions. Right next to that is a little box. When you click on that, it just pops up a tray. You then have to select your desktop, which is in the far left.
So the three dots. Okay. Yep. And I do, which one do I do?
So did you get the little tray to pop up where it shows desktop and Windows and?
No.
Okay. So there's what looks like a little box with an up arrow.
Yep. Yeah, there it is, I think. I use a different product sometimes, so I'm not as familiar with this. Can you see it now?
I cannot yet. I think once that tray pops up, you then have to select an option, which normally desktop is the best option.
All right, so I have the tray. Okay, your entire screen. Share.
There we go. Now it's loading up for us. I think we're all set.
Okay. All right. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, I really wanted to promote the use of Flipgrid as an active learning tool to promote innovative thinking and develop lifelong learning skills. So in courses, students are both active and passive. I have found with faculty members that often when they use learning management systems, students remain more passive than active. And I come from a background of teaching preschool children. So I know that being active is really important. So why did I choose Flipgrid? I just listed some of the reasons. But primarily, we remember learning experiences that involve relationships. Students want to feel connected to the instructor and as part of a group in the class, which can be difficult in a fully online environment. So social pressure happens when you connect on a human and emotional level. And by adding more visuals to a course, it really makes a difference. So I use Flipgrid in place of some of the classic, we use Blackboard as our learning management system here. So instead of doing a Blackboard discussion, I'll do a Flipgrid discussion. So one of the other reasons that I choose Flipgrid is that it promotes the use of open pedagogy where students create information rather than just consume it. So that promotes them thinking about thinking. So I'm going to switch over and actually show you my Flipgrids on the website. So these are the grids that I've created. I've been using this now for a year. And in a year, I created 7 grids for the different courses I teach. I'm going to show you the course that I'm highlighting, which is the Spring Introduction to Childhood Studies. And in the course, the students submit their introductions. You're seeing this from the instructor point of view. And I think I'll just click on one of them. And
hi everyone, my name is Brianna King.
So the students introduce themselves. And then you can comment on them, but the students tend not to do that too much with the introductions. Then the students, the course that I'm teaching here is a speaking intensive course, so they have to do presentations. So they were able to create their presentations. And then you'll notice that there's photos here of other students. Those are the students that made comments on each of the presentations. So you could see that they were really actively engaged. Now, I don't know about any of your experiences with classroom presentations, but in a class size of 20, it takes usually several class periods to get through even 5-minute presentations. And I can tell you at the end of 75 minutes, I'm not listening to the last speaker. So I prefer to do presentations this way, and the feedback from students is they like it as well because they can listen to the individual videos on their own time frame and maintain attention to the videos as well. The comments they made to each other were really insightful and much more in depth than the I liked, your speech. That was an interesting topic, which is what usually happens in a face-to-face environment. So I think it was really a successful thing. And then they did another group project as well. And then these were all of the comments on this is the group presentation up here. I was able to add their handout as well. So people could be looking at the handout, watching the presentation, and then all of the other students that commented. So what were the results? What I like about the Flipgrid environment is that you can see how it really does engage community building, and that students were online a lot. I have the response count and the view count. So there were a lot of views. These are class size of approximately 20 students in some of them. So I think it was a success. They had in a year's time, I had 4,400 views. So this is really what was important to me. the student reflections. I ask at the end of the semester, what will they remember most about the course and why? And how did Flipgrid help them learn? And these were the comments they made. I'm not going to sit and read them. People can read them as they want. But to me, this was really the strongest reason to keep using Flipgrid. I love the first comment on this slide. Online classes are not disengaging, and I've never liked this, but this was an awesome course because listening to other people talk made me learn a lot more. So, people said it was new, but they liked it. It helped them get over their fear of public speaking, which was one of the goals of this particular course. I didn't put the all caps in. That's how the students submitted their particular response, that they really enjoyed Flipgrid. And then how it did support their learning, that talking about it was a helpful way for them to learn the course content. So I was able to win an award on campus with this particular award. It was called Innovative Teaching with Technology. So it was nice to have the peer recognition that what I'm doing is a little bit different and does lead to student success. So I have my contact information. It's a little bit hard to read if anyone is interested in more information. And another thing on Flipgrid is that their help section is wonderful. So they have a guide to get started, and then they also have a student guide. So it's pretty easy to teach students how to use the environment. So that is my presentation. I talk really fast, I know, living here in Massachusetts.
That's okay. You did a great job.
I would love to have questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And let's see. Did it stop?
Yes, okay. It did stop sharing. You got it. Absolutely. Good. Thank you very much. I think you did a fantastic job there. This is probably a tool that many of us haven't used, even if we've seen it. So I would be curious, is there anything that anyone in the group really has sort of took from this and had any questions on, or thought, hey, maybe that's something I just hadn't thought of before?
Well, I've been such a promoter of it on campus. And when I tell people how wonderful it is, and I encourage them to try it, and they do, I haven't had anyone come back and say, that was really awful. They all come back and say, thank you so much for sharing. It really is as wonderful as you said it was, and it really did get the students much more active in the course.
Yeah, and I think that was an interesting thing. I know for me personally, it was very intriguing to see how much response you got, how many views you were seeing, and getting people to be active participants in it. So I do think that it looks like Marge Knox has a question here. Were there any challenges reported by the students or you, and have there been any deaf students use it?
I have not had any deaf students. I would say the biggest challenge is typically technology related, and it might be they don't have the app on their phone, and their phone is the only thing they have to be able to do their homework. So I need to be more upfront about telling them to also get it on their phones, because I do find, unfortunately, a lot of my students complete their homework and do assignments on their telephones.
Yeah, understood.
Mm-hmm.
So here's something I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. A lot of times we'll get some of the questions once we've kind of stopped that. So I'll go ahead and bring this to a close. If you don't mind sticking around for just a minute longer here, Susan.
Sure.